Okay, here we are, Bearspaw pub, right outside. There's the obelisk, and then we are going to do the Sandstone Trail. So we're going to go straight up that road behind me, under that bridge, to find the start of the trail. So we're a little bit into the Sandstone Trail now, and I'm starting to think trail shoes might not have been the best choice of footwear. Perhaps boots would have been better, considering the amount of mud we're already seeing. So we've come to this nice little viewing point, and nice little seats here you can take a break at, and still some good signpostage saying where we're going, in what direction, and then we're just carrying on along the trail. Okay, so we've come from that direction, that's looking back behind us, and we're starting to come out of the woods now and more along the edge of fields, really, more open land really. So we're heading towards Delamere Forest now on the Sandstone Trail, and weather's pretty good. It's overcast, set to be really cold tonight. I don't think it gets to freezing, but it doesn't get far off. So it should be a fairly cold night, but at the moment the rain's keeping off. I think rain is forecast tomorrow, so we'll see how we go on. But it looks like today we might get hopefully the bulk of the walk out the way while it's reasonably dry. Okay, well we've just gone through these fields with all these cows in, and pan you around to where we're actually going. You can see ahead up there is Beeston Castle. Okay. Okay, so this is Wharton's Lock, and this is where I decided to camp for the night. It's actually 26 kilometres away from Frodsham, so it's roughly around about halfway through the walk. Just seemed like a really nice place to stop for the evening and to call it a day for that day. Right, it's a few minutes away from 6:30. Been going since 5 o'clock this morning, and because the clocks have recently only just gone changed, it's been pretty dark. Sun's even not properly come up yet, so we're still sort of just getting a bit of daylight now to see where we're going properly. Okay. Okay, it's about 7 in the morning now, and we're well and truly on the path for Rawhead now. That's looking back, and hopefully we'll get there fairly soon. Still loads of mud, and we're starting to get some rain now, so obviously that's going to make foot conditions a bit worse, but it is what it is. Okay, so here I am carrying on, and I'm just now reaching the top of Rawhead. So there is the stone marker for the top of Rawhead right there, and I've come in from this direction behind me. There we go, and carrying on that small pathway in front there. Weather's still not been too bad. We are getting some rain. It is starting to pick up a little bit more, but hopefully won't be too bad. So we're on our way down now from Rawhead, and look at this tree that's fell down there. I've had to put a plank across so you can still carry on the trail. So there's that. So just after that tree I showed you that fell down that big tree 20 yards further on. There's another one here. So there's obviously a lot of trees that potentially can fall down on you if you're camping out here. Okay, we're heading towards Bickerton Hill now. Okay, so this is the top of Bickington Hill. That's your viewpoint from it. And we've come up from that direction. And I'm going on that direction. Right, that last field there, I don't know if it is the last one, but that field there is just so wet. I've just gone through it and the water's been right way past my ankles. I was doing not too bad up until then, but it has, that area there where you're looking at now, it's just a complete and utter marsh. Absolutely shocking. Okay, so finally we're at Willymore Lock. So the end's not far in sight. So it's been a bit of a grind that with all the mud. It just seems to have slowed everything down like no tomorrow really. Just a very wet time really to be doing this really. It's a bit of a wellies job to be honest. Well, obviously you can't wear wellies for 34 miles, but it's certainly parts of it you wish you could. Here, have a look at this. I've just got onto the side of the canal and walking a few minutes, and look at this. So I'm going to try something now. I'm going to see if I can put some bags on my feet and see if I can get through, because there's no way through it otherwise. We'll see how this goes. Right, well that actually worked quite well. It's a pity I hadn't used those bags earlier on, because I brought them for the very muddiest of fields, and the fields kind of caught me out really. Having said that, once you took them off you can't fold them up again because they're just covered in mud. So that was probably the worst area of the mud. I just would have been absolutely mud up to my knees, because what's happened is there's a little river next to the canal, a little stream, and it's obviously burst its banks and flooded into the path next to the canal. So though that worked out very well, I'm hoping that doesn't happen again, because I don't think I'll be able to reuse those bags. So okay, so Sandstone Trail. Now just after that bit you saw when we're using the bags, I'd say probably the jury's still out on the bags, whether they're a good idea or whether it's worth it or not really. Basically the reason I said you couldn't really reuse the bags, because once I took the bags off they were covered in mud, and incidentally that water those pictures don't do it justice, that little video clip, because if I had traipsed through that water, it was probably about halfway up my calves that the water would have got to, really, because those puddles were pretty deep at that point, where next to the canal where that little river that little stream had burst its banks, really. So I definitely needed something on my feet, or I was going to get probably wet up towards my knees, really. So the bags did work for that, but when I say that you struggle to reuse them, you'd have to be awful careful about how you're going to take them off and fold them up and get them back in a bag. Basically, I stuffed them into a carrier bag and then stuffed them back into my rucksack. But I'm sure that if I had to reuse them, I would have got splattered with mud and all kinds trying to get them back out again. So unless you can perfect a way of reusing them, then probably the jury is still out on them. The reason I filmed only up to that point, really, is because just after that, I basically put my backpack back on and tightened all the straps up and started running down the canal, because basically there wasn't much left of the walk and I wanted to try and make a train for about 2:30. In reality, I couldn't get it, and I was waiting till nearly 5 o'clock for a train, so I could have took my time in reality, but that's why I stopped filming just towards the end of that of the walk itself. Good walk. Just a note about water: make sure you take plenty of water with you. I knew that there was streams, you know, varied streams, but let's be honest, these streams are running through fields full of cattle and things like this, and it's a for the most part, fairly low level walk. So I also took a water bladder. So make sure you do take enough water with you if you're thinking of doing this. So I used my usual footwear for this walk, which was my Ultra Lone Peaks, my trail shoes, basically. And don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely fine at getting my feet wet if I'm traipsing through a running stream or something like that. But when you're traipsing through fields where cows cattle are using it, and it's soaked with a lot of things other than fresh water, then you do want to try and keep your feet dry as much as you can. One thing I did take, which was a little bit different than normal, was I took this rucksack, which is a Sierra Designs Flex Capacitor. This is the 40 to 61, which is like the middle version of it, really. They do 2 other sizes. It's got these cushions on the back. Now normally I use an Exos 48 and it's got the spring mesh system now, so a bit sceptical about these, whether how good they would be and how comfortable or even uncomfortable they might be. But in actual fact, it worked very well. It was a very comfortable rucksack, to be honest. Lots of pockets, so pockets there, pockets here, lots of pockets on it. It's got a top zip pocket, which comes from the yoke from the top here. Terrible. Very little space in that top pocket at all. Once you open the main compartment just underneath, then you've got a nice big area. It's just one open area, a bit like an Exos 48 in the same respect. One big area there, and you stuff everything in. And then you've got these compression straps on the front. Depending on how tight or loose you make them, opens up the capacity of it. So when you say it's 40 to 60, it opens up from expands width-wise rather than height-wise, like a lot of expandable rucksacks would. But yeah, it worked fine, really. Like I say, I was surprised with how comfortable it was. But yeah, no complaints. Don't get a white one, okay? They show up the dirt like no tomorrow, so that was probably a mistake, but they do come in about 3 different colours. But other than that, I will continue to give it a go, and the jury's still out on it, but we'll continue to use it and see where we go from there. It's not really time for saying it's going to completely replace this one, because I do love this rucksack, but it is a good pack, can't complain. Okay. Okay, so final thoughts about the Sandstone Trail. Is it worth doing? Yeah, great little walk. Because you can do it over, I mean, some people say you can do it over 3 days, but ideally you're probably going to do it over 2. It's one that you can easily just fit in here and there. So a great little training walk as well if you want to do something bigger. I took a guidebook. This is the guidebook I took, and it does give you some interesting facts about if you want to deviate to little towns and things like this. And it tells you about facts about the walk, basically. And it also has mapping in it as well. There's also this one made by the same people, which is purely the map. But you could think, well, why would I get one over the other? But if you just want the map, and this is the map in greater detail really, so it's easy to see with this one, whereas this one's got the map in, but it's smaller, the maps. Yeah, I'd do it again. Great little walk, any time of the year really, but bear in mind, if you're going to do this walk in winter, there are certain fields that really do get waterlogged on this route, so it probably is more of a summer one really than a winter time one. Okay, but definitely give it a go. If it's not on your list, then consider it.